We've had many people over the years come to ask about advice for whether to choose a piano or a keyboard, or even what things to be looking for, as there are so many options. The good thing, I guess, in some ways is that there are so many options, so you'll be able to find something that will suit you or your student. But where do you start? There are three main things that we think are very important for you to be aware of and to understand what they mean. We'll cover them here, but if you have any other questions, please feel free to let us know, either as a comment or directly. So the three things that we're going to look at today are touch response, the number of keys, and weighted keys. Those are the three main differences that you will find between a piano and different types of keyboards. So good to know what they mean, so that when you're talking to someone or even looking at specifications of a particular model, you'll know what to be looking for. We might start with the piano because, as you probably are aware, most of the keyboards are modeled on how a piano works. And if you're starting to learn how to play, the chances are that learning the technique on a keyboard or a piano will be exactly the same. So when we look at the piano here, there are 88 keys, and the way that we count them, it's the white and the black notes. So a full-size piano is 88 keys. You will find a number of keyboards as well, either digital pianos that are trying to be pretty much the same thing as this, or you'll have some more portable options that are 88 keys. So that's the full size there. Then there are usually some smaller models going down to a 61 key is probably the smallest that we would suggest that you start with. And there's also some in between in that 70 range that have a few more notes. And generally you'll be able to play most things for a number of years, even on the 61 key. It has just about everything that you will need until you want to take it even further. And by that stage anyway, you'll generally be wanting the features of the larger keyboards. One of the things that we talked about at the very start there was touch response. And this is the most important thing that I would say you need to have in an instrument that you're getting to learn. What touch response means is that if you press a key gently, you'll get a soft sound. So if we're on a piano and we press very, very gently, we have a soft sound. If we press firmly, we get a much louder sound. Now, there are some entry-level keyboards that won't have this. They just have a volume control, either a knob or a slider that you can set the volume at, and it just stays at that no matter how hard or soft you play. The problem with this is, although they are cheaper starting points, because they have one level of technology that's not in them, it really does make it difficult for students to understand that how they play with their hands really affects the tone and the sound that comes out. Because what happens here in a piano, in an upright piano like you're seeing here, there are hammers that hit the string. So it's not just the volume that changes with the force, it's also the tone, the type of sound. It'll be a softer, more gentle sound, or a more percussive, hard, harsh sound if you press firmly like that. And so students really, right from the start, need to start to learn that how they play really affects the sound. Touch response for us is very, very important. And there are many keyboards that you can get, even in that small 61 beginner range keyboard, that come with that. And so make sure you look for that as an option. The other thing that is a main difference is that this piano here has what we call weighted keys. That means that as you press it, there is a feeling of weight behind it. Now, the reason on a keyboard like this, a piano keyboard, is that the key actually is much bigger than what you're seeing here. It runs in and connects via, just actual mechanical process to a hammer that hits the string. So you actually have to press with some weight that moves that hammer to hit the string. On a grand piano, it's a little bit of a different action. The hammers come from underneath to hit. And so when you come to a keyboard, the small ones generally will be not weighted keys. They might have a bit of a spring resistance in them, and these days there's now some more terminology along the lines of like a weighted feel to it. And some of them are actually quite good. But if you go to the full size 88, there'll often be what they call weighted keys. Some of them will say piano hammer graded weighted keys. And you can even get some extremely high-end digital pianos that even have the hammers in. We've got some of those. They were actually more expensive than some of our pianos, but you can get that if you want that exact grand piano feel, but with a keyboard sound to it. The other things to consider as you're doing this is that if you do go with a piano, you need to look after it. That means regular tuning. And what the tuner will do, as much as just keeping everything in tune, is that they will adjust the feel of the keys. So if you're only playing in a particular range, as beginners do, they won't be playing all the notes up and down. They will end up being at a different feel to the outside. And so the piano tuner will adjust not just the tuning, and there's a lot of strings to be tuning in here, but also the action on the keys themselves. You'll need to be getting it tuned at least once a year, and sometimes more than that, depending on the climate that you're in and the room and all of that. So you may need to do them twice a year. That's what we do at least here. If we notice the tuning starting to go, and usually it's at the change of season that you notice it even more, then we'll have to tune regularly. So that's something to consider because there is a cost involved in that. If you get a digital instrument, there is no ongoing tuning. So the things to be thinking about if you want to go piano, and that's fine. One, it's a bigger instrument, so you'll need to be getting some professional moving, I'd recommend. If you're investing in it, you don't just want to get it dropped or damaged along the way. So professional movers, regular tuning, so that will add on to ongoing costs there. If you get a digital instrument in a full size, you'll be able to play up to some reasonable grades on that before you want to start to actually use the acoustic instrument for the right feel and sound and all of that. If you go the very small one, the 61 key, and you decide to continue on past the beginner stage, eventually you'll need another instrument too, just to get those extra notes. So they're the different things to consider. If you're going brand new, they'll obviously come with warranty, and you can do that at many different music shops. We have some links of some that we recommend as well. If you're going secondhand, if it's a keyboard, make sure that you test every single note. If they're all working, you shouldn't have an issue. Every now and then the speakers might have stopped working, but that's okay. You can sometimes use headphones, but again, check with that. They're the main things to be looking for. On a piano, it's a little bit trickier to tell, but the best guide of if it's working, again, play all the notes, make sure that they're all sounding, that there's nothing particularly sticky. And if you can, if they've kept a record of tuning, and most tuners will actually have a card that they fill in, a bit like a car service book, they'll put in the dates of when it was tuned, and you'll be able to see, is there a history of that? If there is, it's been well looked after, then you shouldn't really have many problems. This piano here is the one that I started on when I was 4 years old. It's a very old piano, but it plays well, and it's been looked after, obviously, with our family, but now in our studio here too. We regularly look after it. It's been maintained well. It plays beautifully. The sound has improved, not gone down. And if you look after good instruments like that, that's what happens with it. So there's no issue buying secondhand. You just have to be a little bit more careful and check. Some music shops actually will sell secondhand pianos, so that might be something to consider, to look at for a bit more peace of mind. But if you can play it and try it first, they're the things to be looking out for. Again, if you have any questions, please let us know. We'll be happy to discuss this more with you. But in quick recap of what we looked at, touch response is the most important thing. That is, as you play gently, the sound will be soft. As you press firmer, it gets louder. You must have that to help develop technique. Weighted keys will give you the feel of a piano here. While that is somewhat important, it's not absolutely crucial right at the start, so they can learn that a bit more as they develop. But if you find the instrument that has that, it means they won't have to relearn that later. And the number of keys, we need you to get at least a 61 key instrument, all the way up to 88 if you want the full size that you don't have to re-buy again later. If it's in your budget and your room size and all of that, it might be best to go with an 88 key digital piano or keyboard in terms of the trade-off between portability, resale, lack of ongoing expense. That's a good first instrument usually. If you have your heart set on the piano, and sometimes these are wonderful furniture pieces as well, you know, they look nice in a room, they are good to play and all of that, then go for that. Again, just consider the things we've talked about and what to look for. Well, all the best. Enjoy playing. Whatever you choose, enjoy music and practice and developing your skills and abilities and learning. It's a wonderful thing to do. And we look forward to hearing some of what you can play. And feel free to submit some stuff to us if you want. If you want to send a comment to a link or something like that, we would love to hear what you can do. And we look forward to seeing you next time.